Hi everyone, Air here. I'm going to actually read an excerpt from one of the many books I've been reading lately. If you've been following along, I've been doing cliff notes on all sorts of business books, leadership books that get sent to me, that I find in the office, that just, are rare. From Greatness, that $100 book that's about self-coaching, to Being Fabulous and doing speeches. You name it, I want to read it right now. And it's part of my rebranding for 2025. But I actually just did a Cliff Note review video on Fabulous but Broke by Melissa Brown. And there was one passage in the book that particularly stood out to me. And this actually goes back to my podcast, Black Cat Energy, that is all about self-concept, owning your womanhood, being that black cat, powerful goddess that you are, to be able to attract your dream life as well as your dream partner. And this particular story, The Princess and the Pea, that is part of this book, really speaks to some of the black cats out there. Now, if you are a woman that you know that you're beautiful, you know that you deserve the best, you love luxury, you're essentially part of the tribe. You're part of the community. You've been working on yourself. You have your education. You're ready to go. But you may have also felt like, okay, here is my money story, and this is what my goals are. This book is so interesting because it does take you as a person, your money fears, your money goals, and your dream life, and just labels it out to a fairy tale. So Miss Brown was definitely spot on with some people, and I'll even raise my hand to the sky. I'm no exception. I love luxury. I love being able to just take care of myself. Self-care, a good spa day makes me happy. And I love being able to share my message on camera, whether that's photography, behind the scenes, or in front of the camera. So here we go. I'm going to read this to you guys, especially since you may never actually get to pick up this book. If you do want to pick it up, I'm going to put it in my Amazon Associates. That way you can just find it really easily. But again, it's Fabulous but Broke, and it's by Miss Melissa Brown. Okay, so this particular passage is called The Princess and the Pea, and it's a modern fairy tale, and her little tagline for it is, "I'm not saying she's a gold digger," so that kind of sets the stage. The money message is, why make your own way when you can marry well? The money fantasy, to marry a gorgeous young billionaire, but old billionaire will do, really. Money fears, I'll lose my looks before I snare a man. And dreams of marrying Prince Harry, which obviously this book may have been written before Meghan became part of the picture. But she does start everything with a little quote. This one is unknown, but it says, "A bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking, because it trusts not in the branch, but in its own wings." Okay, so here we go. Once upon a time, there was a gorgeous teenager who grew up to be an even more stunning 20-something-year-old called Liz. With legs up to her armpits, long shiny locks, and curves in all the right places, Liz wasn't so much of a head-turner as a star, open mouth, and try not to drool kind of stunner. Even before she entered her teenage years, Liz was well aware of the fact that her looks had both women and men alike turned over. It was kind of difficult not to be, and it wasn't long before modeling agents, casting directors, and wealthy and not so wealthy would-be boyfriends starting to call, text, and stop on the street just to get her phone number. Liz had some early catalog and swimwear success in the modeling industry, but she really didn't enjoy the long hours or the freezing winter mornings spent frolicking in bikinis and oceans for the shoot. Nobody explains that part of the job to you, or waiting around for hours between shots. Soon enough, Liz worked out that she could make more money with far less effort from much more enjoyable sources: appreciative, benevolent boyfriends. It wasn't that Liz didn't enjoy earning her own money, or the added bonus of the attention she received as a working model. Yes, some parts of the jobs were monotonous, but there were also the occasional photo shoots in exotic locations, opulent product launches, opening nights, and lots of free clothes. And she really was the perfect clothes horse for designers to showcase to their wives and wares. The problem was, it was far easier and far more lucrative to date a wealthy businessman or a high-profile sports star than it was to spend hours at a shoot. And when Liz could be whisked away by her boyfriend to ski in the south of France at a moment's notice, it was problematic if she had jobs booked. She found it easier to work less and date more. Besides, as her mother and those in industry always told her, looks don't last forever, so you need to cash in on them early. Liz certainly planned on doing that, just not in the way that those well-meaning mentors expected. Liz enjoyed the attention, gifts, and holidays with her admiring beaux. However, they weren't quite what she was looking for. She wasn't looking for a handsome date or a donor marrier. She had all of these bucket loads, and she wasn't thinking of opening up a wait list. Liz was looking for a wealthy husband. Her next move was to start dating carefully and strategically, until finally she met a man who ticked all the right boxes. Don McGall. Don was a little older than Liz. Well, at least 20 years her senior. He was a lot older. But he was wealthy, successful, confident, and completely swept her off her feet. It was a whirlwind romance, and she saw them married within 12 months of being met. Don had been married twice before, but he doted on Liz so completely that she felt she had no need to be concerned. There would never be a fourth Miss McGall. Liz intended to make certain of that. Of course, being a busy well-to-be businessman, Don had insisted on a prenuptial agreement, but her lawyer explained it was fairly standard and there was usual provisions if they were to bear him any children. Liz was confident that she would be the third and final wife, so she really wasn't at a worry. She was used to finding off men and believed that Don well and truly was smitten. It was time to relax and enjoy the fruits of her labor. So in this book particularly, what she does is actually gives the scenario, gives the story, and that has a typical ending and an alternative ending. So I'm going to sum up the typical ending because in this video, what I really want you to take home is not what could be your future, but what should be your future. So in this typical ending, it goes in to just be the saddest tale, where this beautiful model that had given up her career in order to pursue a relationship and to be a wife and a mother ends up being in a divorce where she is left a little bit older, with the kids alone, and with no money. So this is a newfound resentment and bitterness that emerges in her, and she very much regrets some of the decisions that she made. Nonetheless, we're going to talk about the alternative ending, the Black Cat energy ending, and how to become that most powerful version of yourself with the Princess and the Pea. So to the alternative ending, let's go. Liz was beautiful, but she was also smart. She knew the income from her modeling career wouldn't last forever. And she also knew if she married for money, there was no guarantee the money or the marriage would last forever. So even though she finally landed at being a wife to Mr. Don McGall, the man of her dreams, she decided to continue investing in the one thing she could rely on, herself. Don, however, wasn't keen on her continuing to work as a model and began pressuring her to give up work and have a family. Liz wanted babies, eventually, but she also wanted to build a career during the brief window that she knew was open as a paid model. Sadly, it only took 12 months of married life for Dawn to begin casting for a more pliable fourth wife. When Liz found out, she quickly moved out. Liz was heartbroken, but she decided that this time around that she was going to invest in herself. She figured the life cycle of a model was probably about 5 years, so she decided to spend that time working hard and cashing in. When she eventually met a man, she decided she wanted to be able to marry for love because she was already financially taken care of for herself. So, as Liz went to openings, launches, and events, she stopped searching for a wealthy husband and instead made a point of talking to people that were successful in her industry to find out what they had done to become financially secure. After many conversations and reading a few recommended books about money and investing, Liz decided it was really quite simple. She needed to spend less and earn more. Save a big chunk of it and invest in something other than cash in the bank. Thankfully, it wasn't rocket science, just good old common sense. Liz had never really saved before, so she met with a financial advisor who helped to see her the benefits of transferring the majority of her modeling income automatically into a savings account, which she wouldn't access. She kept the rest of her money in an everyday account to pay her rent, her food, her bills, and then spend however she chose. Her savings account, however, was off limits. She decided her financial goal was to finish her modeling career with at least 2 investment properties that were positively geared. These investments would provide her with an income she could really afford to study if her modeling work eventually dried up. As her career progressed, Liz enjoyed moderate success. She certainly wasn't a household name, but she made a nice income and developed a reputation for being a hard worker, so she was consistently booked for work. After a couple of years, according to her plan, and with the help of a buyer's agent, Liz purchased a property in a desirable location and began renting it out. There was no point in living in it as she was already traveling. In any event, with the deposit she had saved and the rent she was receiving, it wasn't costing her a cent. 5 years came and went, and Liz was surprised to find that she still consistently was booking modeling jobs. With the newfound demand for real women in photo shoots, there was a growing need for models in their 30s, and the pay was more than Liz could imagine earning in a different profession with her skill set. Still, she was smart enough to realize it could all end tomorrow. So Liz continued to save and spend only what she could afford. She also continued to invest and help with the buyer's agent. She purchased properties in desirable locations. As Liz ended her 30s, she found that she had amassed a property portfolio worth over $5 million. She was still working part-time in the modeling industry, and she had started studying a business degree to help work out what she might do next. She was also dating a photographer that she had befriended many years earlier and was enjoying a relationship based on real love rather than the size of a bank account balance. Liz entered her 40s with financial independence, which meant that she could be the mistress of her own destiny. That was a greater thrill than any magazine cover could ever provide, or a sugar daddy. I love that passage. I feel like it speaks volumes, and I feel so relatable to all beautiful women, especially women in careers like modeling, acting, or just being on camera, maybe as an anchor or some other type of source of information, even as an author. So thank you, Melissa Brown, for that passage, and I just hope that you can have your alternative story. I hope that you get to have your happy ever after, and that Fabulous but Broke maybe made you feel a little bit more hopeful, a little bit more empowered, and just happier today. Okay, I will check you guys out on Instagram. Also, if you have any comments, please send them to Eric Kramer on Instagram or link a book in the notes, like in the comments. Give this a thumbs up. It does help. If you're listening to this on the Black Cat Energy podcast, by all means, please rate it 5 stars. And then, of course, I'll see you in 2025.